Several years ago, on a Saturday morning, I casually strolled through the Raleigh flea market. Under the giant oaks lining the entrance, I came across a gentleman selling an old photograph. It was a faded black and white in a gold frame of 8 prison inmates holding musical instruments. They stood in front of a brick wall. The ground below their feet was barren dirt. Their faces were expressionless. At the bottom of the print, the caption read, "String Band, NC State Prison." I had never seen the photograph before. I became curious about the men in this photograph, curious about the music created behind the prison walls here in Raleigh, almost a century before my time. In part 1 of this episode, journey along with me as we explore this photograph. I began my research at the State Archives, which listed the photograph as a postcard, having been taken in 1909. Through the UNC's Wilson Library postcard collection, I locate other images of state prison. And through those images, I begin to recognize that they all have similar handwriting to what was on the string band image. And on one of the other photographs, I locate this photographer's mark. In a 1911-1912 state prison biennial report, I locate a bill paid to Mr. Wilson for a series of postcards, along with a note from the warden.
We also had made by a competent photographer postcards of 30 subjects in and about the prison and placed on sale for the same purpose. The experiment has proved satisfactory. This money has been used in improving the conditions in the library and the chapel.
As a side note, I'm sure some are wondering if there was anything of significance on the back of one of the postcards that would have identified the musicians. I will note that Wake Forest University's Special Collections did have a scanned copy of the backs of several of the other photographs that were used as postcards, but unfortunately, as you can see, they were all rather generic in their content. Since they were all printed at the same time and by the same photographer, it's easy to conclude that the string band postcard did not have the names of the performers on the back. So where would I take my research next? I pivoted, and I began searching for the first actual reference to a string band. I began targeting closer sources of life within the prison, and came across the Prison News newspaper, a colorful newspaper that began its publication in the early 1920s and was printed by and for the prisoners. It's not until September of 1929 that the first reference to a string band appears. This reference is shown in an article about a radio show that was broadcasted from the prison and hosted on WPTF both Saturday and Sunday nights. This discovery, along with some other very interesting prisoners, will be discussed in Episode 2, Exploring a Photograph. As we close out this episode, check out this postcard from 1929. As we compare it to the string band postcard, look at the same wall in the background, and notice that the only thing that's different is the vegetation that is filled in. Now let's look at the 1929 image of the string band. Ironically, they're in the same spot. At this point in my research, we were about to hit a jackpot in finding some very important information. Join me in Episode 2 as we look at that.